going on, everybody? Happy Halloween. This year, me and a couple of my friends, we got Luke Ponto, Jared Runner, AJ Reacts 2, and Zach Attacks Reviews, or Zach Attack Reviews as he goes by now. We all decided to come together, make a list of 31 movies, and release a new 31 on 31, which we'll be trying to do at least twice a year here. Of course, this is not our original idea. This all goes credit to the AutopStream, so Cody Leach, Sean Chandler talks about Brian Lomax, and CP from Willis Greedia. They're awesome guys. Go subscribe to them if you haven't already, and go check out their list this year of torture movies. So I think on their list they're doing Hostel, Saw, Hellraiser, and Wrong Turn. So yeah, go check that out whenever those videos premiere on their channel. So yeah, this isn't our original idea. This is all inspired by them. But me and my friends, we all got together on a call and just came up with 31 slasher movies. And right now, today, we're all premiering our videos, and we're going to rank 31 slasher movies. These aren't all just from the same franchises, whatever. This is just 31 slashers that we just came up together with, and we're like, yeah, this sounds like a decent idea. So yeah, go subscribe to those guys, and also in the description there will be their videos as well as the movies that we are ranking. So if you want to see what movies we're ranking before I get to them, or in the video, go check them out, or go check out what they are, and leave down in the comments how you would rank these movies. If you've seen all of them, how would you rank all of them? And if you haven't seen all of them, just give us the ones that you've seen. So with that out of the way, let's get started with this ranking. Now, unfortunately, in last place is a first-time watch for me. I had seen the original, and I think the original one's okay. It's never been one of my favorites, but this was a first-time watch for the remake of it. So, 2009, My Bloody Valentine, or My Bloody Valentine 3D, is in last place, unfortunately. Now, why exactly was this put on the list? I'm not 100% sure. It might honestly be higher for the other guys, but I wasn't a huge fan of this one. I gotta be very, very honest. Just very, very lame. Some of the kills are pretty decent, but other than that, it's just a really not very original killer. Really bad characters, terrible dialogue. Just not very good movie at all. Not very shot well either. Not shot very well either, but yeah. Not my thing. Now, like I said, it's not just like a bunch of franchises put in together. So this is just ripped out from other franchises and stuff. So, picked by AJ, we have Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Look, this could be higher on other people's lists. I'm not 100% sure, but this movie is not good by any means. But it's kind of a guilty pleasure, I'm not gonna lie. I'm entertained by this movie. It's not great, though, unfortunately. It's just, it's the one movie besides the first movie where Jason isn't the killer, and it's very, very stupid. Kind of boring in parts, pretty entertaining in others. It's just, I don't know. There's some funny bits of dialogue in there, though, so it's a decent enough guilty pleasure type movie. So at least it'll get a chuckle out of you if you watch it with some friends. But I mean, I guess the best thing about this movie is the amount of boobies. Am I right? That was a joke. Please, that was a joke. Coming in at number 29 is The Slumber Party Massacre, another one given to us by AJ, I believe. I believe this is AJ. But yeah, it's kind of iconic, but it's just a very generic slasher movie. If you really just look at it for base value, it is a very, very basic slasher. All of the tropes, stupid characters, weird killer with some goofy weapon that he uses. It's just, it's what you look for with a slasher movie. It's not terrible, but it's just not one that I particularly want to ever go back to. Now, coming in at number 28 is actually part two of a duology that we ended up having both movies on this list for, and that is The Collection. So, I ended up watching these two movies for the first time earlier this year, and both of them I thought were pretty overrated. A lot of people had been really hyping these up, and I was kind of let down by them. Specifically, the second one, it had a bigger budget, but honestly, it just didn't really work all that well for me, just as a movie in general. It's pretty entertaining, it's worth watching for like 90 minutes, but honestly, the more time passes, the more I just forget what happens in this movie, so yeah, The Collection comes in at number 28. Coming in at number 27 is Fear Street Part 3, or Fear Street 1666, I believe. And this one is kind of just like a group decision. We just tried to come up with like a trilogy to, wrap up the last three spots available for the 31 movies. So, yeah, Fear Street Part 3 is, I'd say, the weakest of the three. The first half in actually 1666 I thought was kind of boring, but once it gets to 1994 part 2, I think it's pretty entertaining. um it's not a great movie. Not I'd say none of these movies in the series are particularly great, but I enjoy them for the most part. I had a really fun time when I first watched them. Like, I think it was 2021, where like the 3 weeks in a row you got one of these. I thought that was kind of neat, cool structure. Other than that, the movie's it's pretty solid. Next up at 26, I got to thank Luke for this one. Chopping Mall. Now, okay, I hadn't seen this one all the way through before, getting to the list. So I was looking forward to this one. I'm not gonna lie, and it was fun. It was actually a lot of fun. It's not great. I mean, there's not a whole lot down in like these bottom 10 or so that are like great movies, but I still really enjoyed this one. It's not gonna knock your socks off or anything, but it is pretty funny. And those robots, man, they are stupid, but they're funny. Number 25, we have The Collector. Now, as I said before, kind of disappointed by this one when I first watched it, and after a second watch, it still wasn't as great as I was originally hoping it would be. Still, a decent, entertaining enough time. It wasn't great, kind of cheesy beginning. Cool concept for the slasher himself, but other than that, it wasn't the best thing on planet Earth. So yeah, it's still on the bottom 10 or so for me, unfortunately. Number 24, we have Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. So this movie is pure schlock. Okay, this movie is the movie in the franchise where they really hone in on the goofy, campy side of Jason. They actually like find out that they're supposed to be a goofy franchise, and they like go to the extreme. They just make it stupid, where they turn Jason into a zombie. They resurrect him using lightning, so you like Frankenstein zombie Jason. um it's fun. It's not my personal favorite of the series, but you know what? I still have a fun time with it. It's nothing special. I believe this is the only other Friday the 13th movie on this list, which kind of breaks my heart that nobody put the remake on here, but it is what it is. Yeah. Number 23 is a movie that I watched for the first time last year, I believe, and it is The Burning. So this one is kind of a Friday the 13th ripoff, even though Friday the 13th itself is a ripoff of Halloween. It's pretty much verbatim, just the Friday the 13th story redone with a different concept for the killer. You got Chopsy. He was the camp counselor that everybody hated, and then they pulled a prank on him, went a little too far, and now he's back from the dead and he's getting revenge. Like it's cheesy, but honestly, gonna be honest, the ripoff of the ripoff was better. I gotta be honest, I like this more than the original Friday the 13th, and most of the Friday the 13th movies in general. I think it's a fun time. It's you know acquired taste for sure, but I really enjoy this one. It's got some really cool kills. The raft scene is pretty iconic. It's a gnarly kill scene. Um, the third act is really fun as well. I like the concept of the killer. I enjoy the movie. It's just very cheesy, very 80s. Just take it for what it is, I guess. Number 22, we have Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Now, this was, I think, most people's favorite of the series when these all dropped, because it's like, very Friday the 13th esque. It wasn't my personal favorite. Actually, I think at the time that it came out, it was probably my least favorite of the three. But as time goes on, I've like softened up on it a good bit. It's a fun time. Sadie Sink is a great actress. I think she was really good in this one. Some of like the twists and turns, like toward the end of this one, were pretty fun as well. It's not my favorite still. I mean, it's got a great soundtrack as well. But it's got some tropes to it that I just don't love particularly. But it's still a really fun time. So that's my number 22. And to round out the Fear Street movies, number 21 is Part 1, 1994. Now, when this one first dropped, it was kind of getting mixed reactions. It had some cool kills, yeah, so on, so forth. Yeah, people just took one for the kill. It took this one for the kills, like the, meat processor thing. Yeah. But anyway, I ended up really loving this one when it first dropped. I remember I think it was like 4th of July or something like that. I watched this one and I actually kind of loved this one when I first watched it. I mean, it's regressed quite a bit, but I still thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's really fun characters, honestly. It's a pretty cool concept as well. Like all of these killers like come back and they're like trying to go after these kids. I think it's pretty fun, but yeah, it's just kind of like rated R Goosebumps. It's pretty goofy. Um, I enjoyed it though. Number 21. Number 20 is a movie that unfortunately didn't hold up as well on rewatch, but I still really enjoyed it. I will say from here up, this was actually really hard to rank, so this is kind of just like a rough rank in here, but my number 20 is Terrifier 2. Now, look, I loved this one when I first watched it. Second time around, I just found it a little bit harder to watch. Not really sure why. I've only seen it twice. I don't know. It's just not entirely, my cup of tea. It's pretty gross, but I don't know. Art the Clown is great. Sienna Shaw is a great final girl. It's just really like the length of it is pretty excessive. There's a lot of really, really annoying characters in this one. But yeah, I still thoroughly enjoy Terrifier 2, even upon this rewatch. So yeah, number 20. Number 19 is Jordan Peele's Us. Now, actually, this was the only Jordan Peele film I had never seen all the way through. So I remember a couple of years ago now, I think I started watching this one, for some reason stopped watching it and never went back to it. So this year, I don't remember if it was last month or earlier this month, I ended up watching this one all the way through for the first time. So now I've completed Jordan Peele's filmography up to this point. And I'll just say he's 3 for 3 so far. I think the third act isn't great. Some of the reveals are a little goofy, and some of like the very ending twist in like the last 30 seconds of the movie had nothing to add on to the movie because it doesn't change any of the events that really happen in the movie. So it was still good, just had issues. It could have been a 4.5 if the third act had been a little bit better, and there was just some really goofy stuff that went down in the third act. But unfortunately, it's down at number 19 just because that third act was not as good as it could have been or as I had hoped it would be. But yeah, I still really enjoyed this one. Very cool concept. Number 19. Number 18 is going to be Your Next. So this one is a very fun slasher. It's got a great final girl. Not one of my like absolute favorites of all time. One that I kind of forget about a lot when it comes to like final girls. But it's still like really cool. Like every time you go back and watch this one, it's pretty gnarly. Some of the stuff that she does, but very cool. It's like a home invasion slasher sort of thing. So I really like Your Next. Very fun movie. Number 17 is going to be Don't Breathe. Now I feel like with the sequel, kind of made me like this one a little bit less, unfortunately. But you know, either way, this movie is still very good, very effective thriller. If you don't know, this movie is about these three, like down on their luck teenagers. They decide to go break into this dude's house, and turns out it's a blind dude, but he's a killer and has the skills to wipe these three out. So it's got some pretty messed up scenes. If you guys don't know, the turkey baster scene is gnarly stuff, but yeah, it's a really good movie. So it's my number 17. Number 16 was my final first time watch, and one that really surprised me with how good it was, and that is House of Wax from 2005, I believe. So this one is it's a remake. So basically these people go into this town, or they're going to a football game, and they stop in this like ghost town or whatever, and they visit this wax museum, and it turns out that this dude who runs this wax museum has a twin, and they're killers. They like took everybody from this town and they turned them into wax sculptures. So now they have to get out of this town because their car broke down, so they have to run away, find some help, and then come back, wipe these dudes out, and then go to this football game. But I don't think they ever make it to the football game. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Alicia Cuthbert is in this one. She's great. I believe Jared Padalecki's in this one as well, and he's great as well. So yeah, definitely really enjoy this one. Number 16. Whoa, jump cut. It's a lot later now. Anyway, coming in number 15 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, the classic, the original like video nasty movie that everyone remembers for being just a really nasty movie that has such a creepy legacy. One of like the most acclaimed like cursed movies of all time. Just absolutely a movie that sticks with you. Not one of my absolute favorites of all time, but I really appreciate it for what it is. And I honestly like the remake quite a bit as well. Not gonna lie there. And I might get some flack for having this above the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but coming in at number 14 is Bride of Chucky. Now, this is, my kind of movie. This is a straight up new metal type of horror movie. I love new metal. The opening scene, like the credit scene when they have Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie playing, mwah, I want to go watch that scene right now. I love that so much. And the whole movie is just like true romance, but with killer dolls and new metal as heck. And it's so fun. I absolutely love it. Um, it's got its issues. It's got great kills though. It's got Jennifer Tilly being awesome. Probably the best that we've seen Jennifer Tilly in this franchise. So yeah, this is one of my favorites of the Chucky franchise. So it comes in at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is the original Black Christmas from Bob Clark, I believe. Yeah, Bob Clark. So this is what people consider to be like the original slasher film. And I don't think it's like the very first one because, there's another movie on this list that we'll talk about later that kind of did the slasher genre before slashers like had their big outbreak and stuff like in the 70s. But Black Christmas, it's like one of those original horror movies that really inspired like the slasher genre. It has really, really deep themes as well, which I really appreciate about it. Of course, the Christmas uh, setting is really nice as well, and you never see the killer as well, which I really appreciate about the movie. Um, so yeah, great horror movie, one that I like to go back to every Christmas. Very, very solid. Coming in at number 12 is, I believe, James Wan's most recent movie as the time of recording this, because I know that Aquaman 2 is coming out soon, but we have Malignant. Now, some might consider this like a paranoia movie, but in the third act of this movie, this is 100% a slasher, and whoever put this on the list, good on you. Good on you. Genuinely just a really creepy, solid horror movie. Gabriel is a great villain. Very, very cool what they were able to do with that. The voice of Gabriel is just creepy. The effects in this one, like the makeup, everything is so fun. And the kills, the action sequences in this one, so good. Love James Wan for how, great, how well handled he had with this movie. Like, this is very much a James Wan movie, and I really appreciate it for that. Coming in at number 11 is the prequel to a current duology with a third film on its way from A24, Pearl. This is, I believe, the first time that A24 ever released a second movie in a universe for one of their films. And Pearl is the prequel to X, obviously, if you guys didn't know. And it's basically what if you took the slasher genre and Wizard of Oz and mashed them together. And it is crazy, has fantastic performances, and excellently performed monologue from Mia Goth, of course. If you haven't seen the movie, like you got to watch at least the monologue because it goes on for a solid 5 minutes, and it is so excellently delivered. It's great. There's really great kills in this one, really great story. Love following like this psychopathic character in this one, seeing her go into madness. It's great. Absolutely love Pearl. Coming in at number 10, we have the original Child's Play from Tom Holland, of course. Uh, great, great classic killer doll. One that actually used to scare me because I thought that my toys were alive after, hearing the concept and stuff. Didn't watch it until a couple of years ago because I'm a younger guy. Didn't watch a whole lot of like classic movies. Didn't watch a whole lot of classic like horror movies when I was younger because I was a scared little kid. But you know, other than that, Child's Play is a great movie. Of course, Brad Dourif is fantastic as Chucky. It really is like a really good horror movie in like the first half of the movie, and then as soon as you get to the second half and you get Chucky, you find out that he's actually alive, and it's not uh, Andy being crazy and making up the fact that he or that this doll is killing people and is like walking around and stuff. It's like it's kind of a comedy. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a comedy, but the horror stuff is actually really, really effective at the same time. So I really, really enjoy this first Child's Play. Kind of a shame that the second movie isn't on this list, which is my personal favorite, where they kind of lean into the slasher comedy a little bit more, but you know, absolutely love the first two movies in the series. And Bride of Chucky as well is also really darn good. Coming in at number 9, I believe is the first movie that I had for a pick on the list, was Jeepers Creepers, the original. This has a bad rap because the director is a piece of garbage. I get that. Separate art from the artist, though, and this is a really, really fun time. I really want to go rewatch this one now because this movie is just a ton of fun, very effective. It feels like it has like three different parts of the movie. You got the opening part where it's like a chase on the highway. The second act is like, you know, the figuring out what this monster is, trying to get away from it. And then the third act is in the police station, and it turns into really like the slasher. And I really, really enjoy this whole movie. Kind of creepy, honestly. There's some pretty creepy imagery. It's super iconic to me, though. Really, really enjoy the original Jeepers Creepers. It's a shame that people give it a bad rap, but I kind of love it. Also a shame though that none of the sequels really live up to this first one. Still enjoy the second one, 3 and 4. Not so much. Coming in at number 8, we have X. So this movie just came out last year. It was a huge surprise, I think, to everybody who saw it. Um, I didn't really know what to expect going into this one. Didn't really hear a whole lot until it came out, and I was like, getting a lot of buzz, and I was like, oh dang, I really should check this one out. Bought it on Blu-ray. I seriously like really enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and then the more that time passed, I think I appreciated it a little bit more. And now it's up here with Jeepers Creepers, and then my number 7, of course. And like, I think this is just a really great slasher movie. It's going up there with one of the greats because it has layers to it where it's got these crappy people that like are using this farm to film a really bad movie. I'm not gonna say what because I'm gonna get in trouble with YouTube. uh and then on top of that, you got this crooked old lady that doesn't like this, and like you're trying to figure out why she's like insane, and it's like she just has the desire for sex, and her husband doesn't give her that because they're old, and it's like it's just very well crafted and very, very good. So I love X. Fantastic movie. Number 7, we have the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is not a movie that I used to love. I actually kind of used to crap on this movie for whatever reason. And some of my points are valid. I still agree. It's not a perfect movie, mainly because that very ending bit. The Freddy doll coming in and swooping the mom up from the door, like goofy stuff like that. The Freddy car. The very ending, like the last 5 minutes, just aren't amazing. Not even 5 minutes. It's like 3 minutes. Maybe not even 3 minutes. Just whatever the very ending bit is, like right as Freddy disappears. It's like that's not fantastic. Um, but the rest of this movie is so unforgettable, super effective. Just a fantastic horror movie. It's a classic for a reason. Freddy used to follow me into my dreams because he's a mm, creepy piece of work. I don't even know what to say, man. Uh, it's a great movie, though. Definitely one that I had to warm up on, but it's a classic, and I love it. Coming in at number 6, the original slasher, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Now, Alfred Hitchcock weirdly is, I mean, he's not considered a master of horror, but his original, or his classic movie that people from not even just the movie community consider like his best all-time movie is a horror movie. And He's not considered a master of horror. He's considered a master of suspense because he does a lot of thriller. He did a lot of thrillers, but Psycho is a straight up slasher movie and really started the foundation for, slasher movies to come after that. Uh, it's a classic for a reason. It's fantastic. Great acting, great cinematography, absolutely outstanding score, just absolutely fantastic. Has one of the greatest, most iconic kills of all time with the shower scene, of course. So I can't not love it. Coming in at number 5 is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. The Dream Warriors! Love this movie. I don't even know what else to say about this movie. It's just great. It's got the lore of Freddy already there. It's expanded on Freddy. It's giving you more characters that you really like. It has a great setting as well with the psych ward. Great concept for a sequel to this movie where you got these people in the psych ward because they saw Freddy at some point and they're freaking out. Like they got thrown into the psych ward because like they were going crazy over freaking Freddy. So now they're ganging together trying to defeat Freddy with Heather Langenkamp, Nancy from the first movie. And it's such a great sequel. It's got the perfect amount of horror and it's got the perfect amount of comedy for Freddy. This is where I think Freddy was at his best because he was in the middle of being creepy and of course being comedic, because after this movie the comedy really went off the rails. I think with 4, that's like one of its more like faults. One of its faults is just kind of has a little bit too much comedy. But either way, man, Nightmare 3, there's not a whole lot that gets better than this one in terms of a slasher movie, honestly. There's some pretty like annoying bits of it where there's just a lot of screaming in this movie, and it kind of gets on my nerves a little bit watching it, but like this is a near perfect slasher movie. I absolutely love Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Coming in at number 4, what's your favorite scary movie? The original, Scream. It's not my favorite horror movie of all time. I mean, it's a number 4, so kind of an obvious there. But Scream, it's amazing. Spawned a freaking iconic franchise, one of the most consistent horror franchises out there. There's not a bad one in the bunch. I mean, there's a lot that I like more than others, obviously. I mean, this one I like the most out of all 6 because it's just that iconic. It's got fantastic writing, a freaking great cast, iconic final girls. um, but yeah, Scream is great. Got one of the best killer reveals of all time with 2 killers. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie. But yeah, I love Scream. It's just great. Coming in at number 3 is John Carpenter's Halloween. Of course, the slasher movie that started off the slasher craze. At its core, it's a very basic slasher compared to everything in nowadays, but it's still absolutely iconic for just the character of Michael Myers having such a vast, large franchise at this point. I think they're 13 movies deep, with more on the way, supposedly. Uh, Laurie Strode, also Jamie Lee Curtis is great. Donald Pleasance, great performance, great script as well, just some haunting dialogue. The Blackest Eyes, stuff like that. I met this 6-year-old boy. Yeah, like that whole line is it's just creepy. It's chilling. Um, Opening scene, iconic. Like the tracking shot of Michael just walking through the house and then kills his sister. Like that's just that's iconic. It's great. I absolutely love the original Halloween. Technically speaking, it's not a perfect movie. There's some pretty rough acting. like throughout the movie. But my God, this is such an iconic movie. I love rewatching it. Such a great slasher. Coming in at number 2, Helen, the original Candyman. One of, if not my favorite, just like pure slashers of all time. Maybe it's not even a slasher. Maybe just like a paranoia thriller. Might just be my favorite paranoia thriller of all time. I love the original Candyman so much. You know, the sound design of this movie is amazing. You know, Tony Todd, the Candyman is iconic, man. Like, it had people scared of mirrors when it came out. Might honestly be my favorite horror movie from the 90s. I think it's just super effective. The character of Helen's great. The writing fantastic. Uh, just a creepy, chilling movie. Uh, super super rewatchable for me, honestly, and it's easily my favorite of the Candyman movies. I know some people might prefer the reboot. I like the reboot a lot. It's not amazing by any means, but it's like I really like it. But this first movie, I absolutely love. Just a fantastic movie. But coming in at number 1 is a movie that, if you asked me like 2 or 3 years ago, would this be at my number 1? No, it wouldn't. It's a movie that I've had a little bit of warming up to over the years. Do you like Huey Lewis in the News? American Psycho. I love the character of Patrick Bateman. He's like an unreliable narrator. By the end of the movie, you don't even know if he's done all this stuff. It's it's crazy. It's crazy. I killed Paul Allen. The business card scene alone like makes this just a perfect movie. The business card scene when he's going on a tangent about engraved writing on a business card. I love it. So it's such a great movie. Some people might not even consider it a slasher, but it is. It is. Trust me, it is. It's my number 1. I love this movie. Hands down, the best movie on this whole list. Absolutely love American Psycho. So that's everything. That is the whole list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go subscribe, of course, to Zach, AJ, Jared, and Luke. Go check out their videos whenever they're premiering. I'll have the links, of course, like I said, down in the description. Yeah, go subscribe to them. Let me know, what are some ideas that you guys have for next year and other, other 31 on 31s. Like, we don't even have to just do October, May. I think March is 31. I don't know. But let me know what, 31 on 31 ideas you guys have down in the comments, of course. So subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next time.